Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. I'm the niche fragrance collector, big fan of all things niche perfumery. Recently did a video or an episode on all things XERJOFF. So if you like XERJOFF, have a look at this. Today I am going to be talking about both Starlight and 400, and more specifically the process that I go through, which is a little bit over the top, but anyway, this is how I do it. The process that I go through when it comes to testing out a new fragrance and whether I'm going to include it in my collection, etc., etc. So if you jump across to my Instagram, I actually recorded myself. I'd been testing this for about 2 weeks, but I actually recorded myself testing Starlight on 2 days and testing 400 on another of those days. Now, there are brave souls out there, this is what I call you guys, who love to blind buy. This video, or this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is not for you. Actually, this video is for you guys. The reason why I say that is I'm always impressed when people go, you know what do you think about this one or this one? Which one should I buy? And I always respond with, make sure you test first. Make sure you test on skin. Don't go by what you're listening to in the video or what you're getting from opinions from people. Because let's take cardamom as a note, and we'll talk about that in a second. Cardamom is a particular note that can either be amplified or pulled back a little bit. It can be, well, it can be too spicy and too pungent, or it could be subtly blended, like this one here, and create some warm, spicy magic about it, you see. So, but you're not gonna know that until you test it on skin. As I mentioned, I've been testing both of these fragrances over the last couple of weeks, and I want to give you my full review today. Now, before I go any further, the good people of Libertine are giving away a bottle of Starlight. If you'd like to know more, go to the end of the video. There's chapters down below. Promo's only for 3 weeks, so it'll end on the 17th of June. That's the only catch. I want to start with this one here. So Starlight falls under a soft amber, and I'm going to go a little bit more, and I'm going to say it's a spicy soft amber. Straight out of the gate, a lot of the facets that make up this fragrance are prevalent there. So already I'm getting beautifully warm, ambery tones from the fragrance. But I'm also getting that spice coming through. In particular for me, my nose really picks up the cinnamon and the cardamom from the opening. As the fragrance begins to sort of dry down and come off those top notes, it goes into this like a milky, sometimes I almost feel like there's like a chocolate or cacao sort of nest to it, sometimes even a coffee nest to it. The best way to describe this fragrance, for me, this is a coffee shop. It's like being inside a very warm, aromatic coffee house. Notes are just floating through the air, whether it's coffee or whether it's the cinnamon or whether it's the chai, that spiciness component to it. For me, that's all of this. It's just warm, ambery coziness about this particular fragrance. On opening, you're getting a cardamom and cinnamon essence. Then in the heart, you're looking at almond with clove, and finally in the base, ambery milk. Interestingly, those are the official notes that XERJOFF has released. And yeah, you're actually getting all those components. For me, the cinnamon is definitely coming through. In a nutshell, this is warm, ambery, cozy fragrance. For those who are familiar with African leather is similar-esque to this particular fragrance. The difference is, if you would remove that leathery dry note that's in African leather, replace it with a warm, ambery, milky note, then this is exactly the fragrance that you would get. This is perfect for winter. I've been wearing it. It's been very cold here in Melbourne. My family and I have been testing collectively because I knew I was going to be doing this review. I actually put it on the counter of my house, and as my children are coming in and coming out, they're all testing these two fragrances. And I'm getting feedback from both the men and the women. Now, both are wearing these fragrances. So Starlight, comfortably a fragrance for a man, and Starlight is definitely comfortably a fragrance for a woman too. When it comes to its projection, it's phenomenal. I'm talking full sillage. This would be comfortable as an office fragrance. It's not, I mean, I did 3 sprays and it was enough to create that sort of projection, that trail that you love when it comes to a fragrance, and I could smell it very comfortably on me for 12 plus hours. Here's a question. What is an ambery note? In this case here, XERJOFF they're using ambery milk. And that's the first time that I've ever heard that sort of construction together. So firstly, Amber as a note is a fantasy note. If you look at Fragrantica, you'll see that there is an ambery looking resin, and you would think that that is what they distill. The reality is that the amber note actually is something that's constructed by the perfumer. The amber note consists of things like labdanum, which is rock rose. It also consists of things like benzoin, styrax, vanilla. Sometimes they put patchouli in there. And in this case here, they've actually put milk. The beautiful thing about the amber note is that it can be constructed in any way that the perfumer actually wants. It has a sweet, honey, spicy, warm, ambery-like quality to this fragrance. As I mentioned, this works comfortably on a man or a woman. One of the questions that I get asked, especially by people who are new to niche perfumery, so they've come in from designers, they're looking across that niche, and they ask me the question, what is a good masculine fragrance? What is a good feminine fragrance? The reality is that perfumes or perfumery, there's really, it's marketing that have told us that this is masculine and this is feminine. So if it has, for the masculine, if it's amped up with leathers and woods and things like that, that's a masculine fragrance. If it's amped up with flowers and I guess a softness, then that's deemed as a feminine fragrance. Let me put this in another way. It would seem ridiculous if we were to say that there are some foods that are designed for men, masculine food, and feminine food. Lasagna, that's a masculine food. I don't know, chicken sandwich with coleslaw and mayonnaise, that's a female food item. You just go, I don't know what you're talking about. I love chicken sandwich with mayonnaise, put a bit of cheese in that, bada bing, I'm happy. And I know the women in my family, if I say that they can't touch that lasagna because it's a man's food, I'd probably get hit. So with that same logic, it doesn't make sense that we would now say that a fragrance note is only for a man or a fragrance note is only for a woman. The key is this: if you like flowers in your fragrance, regardless whether you're a man or a woman, then guess what? Wear fragrances that have those particular notes. What I love about 400 is that it's part of the Join the Club collection. For those who have been following my channel, I'm a big fan of Alessandro Gautieri. He creates Nasomato, Orto Parisi. One of the big things that he says is don't look at notes. So stop looking at, it has clove and it has this and it has that. Instead, smell the fragrance for its composition and what it's trying to tell you. And either you like it or you don't like it. Don't get caught up in, I don't like rose in my perfume. I don't like ylang-ylang in my perfume. Just think of it as a composition. So XERJOFF has done the same thing here when it comes to 400. We don't know what's in the actual fragrance. Having said that though, this is a amped up floral amber fragrance. So to my nose, I am picking up things like rose, I'm picking up things like ylang-ylang, I'm picking up things like orange blossom, I'm picking up things like honey. There's a sweetness there. There is a citrus component to it. If I saw this fragrance on card and I just reel out those particular notes, so orange blossom with honey, so already I'm thinking a sweetness. Then if I look at ylang-ylang mixed in with rose, I'm even going to say tuberose. So if I see all that on a card, I would shy away from it because those notes, orange blossom, ylang-ylang, tuberose, are notes that my wife loves in her perfume. She is slightly predictable in that when she sees that, she's instantly drawn to it. So she's got a beautiful collection, but they all pretty much comprise of those particular ingredients. I do like my more sort of heavier notes, my leathers, woods in my fragrance. I like my florals there, but that I don't want them to take center stage. This fragrance here, the balance is all in place. You're getting some nice early sweet citrus notes. There are some florals in the heart, but there's something deeper in that dry down. I'm getting like a patchouli, or I'm getting a vetiver. There's something a bit earthy. The florals still play a significant part in it. For me, to categorize it quickly, as a man, this is a really well put together man. I actually enjoy wearing this fragrance a lot. My son, who is very much in love with all things tobacco, leather, woods, has been wearing this fragrance and has been loving this fragrance. So as a man, this fragrance worked. As a woman, this fragrance is divine. I was having a meeting with a client who is also a huge perfume lover. We were having lunch together and I brought it with me. As we sat down together, I could feel my skin was warming up. It was a very cold day, by the way. And I couldn't smell it as I was out on the street. When we went into the restaurant, sat down, my skin began to warm up. I could smell the fragrance blossoming on me. And I asked her, can you smell my fragrance? As she got probably about this far, she's like, I'm picking up the Mediterranean, I'm picking flowers, I'm picking up flowers, I'm picking up sailing on a seaboat. I mean, she got very poetic on me, which was quite cute. I said, do you think is it too much flowers? She's like, no, the balance is perfect. I let her have a spray. Ange, 400. Because I don't know what the notes are in this particular fragrance, I can't break them down for you. What I can say is that it does have this beautiful evolution. It starts off with this beautiful sweet citrus component, almost honey-like, this orange blossom component to it. I do believe it has a ylang-ylang. I am getting a slight tuberose, rose. It just, for me, I feel like that floral heart plays throughout the fragrance. Even now, I'm getting, as I move my hand, I'm getting a slight rose component coming through too. In the base, I have a feeling that it does have some really strong anchoring notes, things like patchouli, vetiver. There's got to be some woods in there. And the reason why, if you look at my video, 26 hours later, I was still smelling the perfume on my body. I only spray 3 times. That is my rule. 1 on my stomach, 1 on my solar plex, and 1 on my arm. And that fragrance, 400, was still active and still prevalent to my nose, to the point where I went on a bike ride and I knew, because it had those sweet honey-like orange blossom kind of notes, I did not want to spray that on my body. I thought it's going to be way too heady as I go on this ride, and I only sprayed it on my hand. So the fragrance has incredible, awesome longevity. So when it comes to its sillage, I'm going to put it down as a moderate. It does have a nice push on it. As I mentioned throughout my meeting, the people around me were comfortably picking up that particular fragrance. The actual projection on it is fantastic. I'm smelling it very comfortably. So there you have it, 2 amazing fragrances from XERJOFF. If you love floral amber, 400 is pure magic. Even as a man, it's an awesome fragrance when you're suited up, going out, office fragrance, rock and roll. And then when it comes to Starlight, if you love your soft amber with spicy elements to it, I'd recommend it to you also. As I mentioned earlier, Libertine are doing a promo with my channel, which is pretty exciting. The code is NFC, and if you were to buy any XERJOFF online, use that code, you'll go into the draw to win a full bottle of Starlight. The promo has already commenced and will run until the 17th of June. For those who have been following my channel, you know that I'm a big fan of all things XERJOFF. And I did a little while back a review on the 1861 XERJOFF fragrances, which is Naxos, Renaissance, and Zafiro. If you have been following my channel, you know that next week I'm off to Italy. And I was going to do the review before I left, and then I thought, I'm going to do the review in Italy. Decus is really, it's I guess the final chapter in that 1861, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have the Colosseum in the background? At the end of the day, this whole 1861 was really, or XERJOFF created it as a tribute to his homeland of Italy, a love song essentially. And this is the last one in that lineup. This one here, if you haven't had a chance to test out Decus, it's exceptional. It's really impressive. We'll see you guys all on the next episode.
Show your